Hey, everyone, and welcome to this Tuesday Global Reach Team Leaders Call. My name is Chris Wingle, your host for this 10-week event we've been doing here with talking about Bryan Robert's 10 steps, which has been awesome. We're on the 10th step, which is so exciting. And I just get all fired up for this because it's one of Bryan's favorites, and it's something that is just culminates the entire thing together, doing things correctly, consistently, and long enough. So real quick about me, I'm 30 years old. I grew up in a small town outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Grew up in a middle-class family and, had a lot of blessings growing up, and got into nursing school and became a registered nurse in an early age because I wanted to help people and make a lot of money and have a lot of free time. And I went into the working field, and that was great. And, I saw wealth generators, and I saw a way that I could go out there and learn how to manage my money the right way. And what a great place where I could just start to funnel money into investments and learning how to invest, but not having to be dealing with it. And what Wealth Generators offers with their amazing product line. And that's not all we're going to get into that because we're going to get into the training. But, just to be teamed up with such a great company, we've got people calling in from all over the world. We're doing stuff all over the world, and it's just getting better and better every day. And we have a lot of exciting stuff coming into the new year. So let's just jump right in, and let me welcome Bryan. Bryan, do I have you on the call?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
Awesome. Good to have you, Bryan. So Bryan is somebody that, just to introduce you real quick and let you talk, is, correctly, consistently, long enough. These are three things that I think that we talked about leadership in one of our prior calls and how your example is your best form of leadership. And Bryan is somebody that I've watched do the actions correctly, consistently, and long enough. And I think that is really what he embodies. And seeing at times of hardship, seeing at times of, business, you're always going to have business transitioning and moving and flowing. And really, if you stick to these three steps, it's the basics, right? So, Bryan, I want you to just go ahead and introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about Wealth Generators, and then we'll jump into your favorite topic, man. I'm excited to talk about this because that's how we closed out last week.
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody. If you have not heard me speak before, or if you're hearing this on a recording, my name is Bryan Robert. And I am a professional network marketer. It's not something I say lightly. This literally is my profession. I was fortunate enough to get involved in this business many years ago. And just like a lot of people here, got invited to a meeting, had no idea what it was, no preconceived notions of network marketing. I got involved in a time that network marketing was not nearly as accepting as it is now. Pretty much back then, if you talk to somebody, 7, 8 out of 10 people would say, "Is this a pyramid scheme?" And really believe, look at you kind of sideways, like, "No, this is illegal." And kind of before the internet. This is 24 years ago, and there wasn't a real easy way to prove to somebody that this was legal. I remember how many times people would be like, "Is this legal? Prove it to me." I was like, I don't know how to prove it. I don't know how to prove it's legal. I think it is. And, this is just a different time. So it was real difficult back then. Got involved, had no success at the time. I spent 2 years just getting told no. I was young, 17 years old, had no credibility. And then as time went on and I continued to make no money, the tiny little bit of any credibility I have just kept becoming less and less and less. And so then, I was 2 years into it. I was 19 years old. And, imagine that, right? I'm trying to talk to somebody and, I'm like, "Oh, hey, come join this business. We're going to have some success." "Oh, well, how's your success been?" "Well, it's been 2 years. I've made $1.27. So, look, any excuse, anyone, whatever you've been through in this industry before, whatever starting point you're starting off on, it couldn't have been lower than where I was. At this point, I was a college dropout. I was living in my mom's house. I was a waiter at TGI Fridays. I didn't have a car. And I'm trying to tell people, come join me and we're going to have success. So that was my starting point in network marketing. I was fortunate. I got introduced to a incredibly successful mentor. This guy was in his early 50s, been 20-something years in the industry, had made millions, upon millions of dollars, and basically said, "Hey, look, this isn't a get rich quick. It's going to take some time, but it's a profession. I don't care what your situation is. you can have success at this business if you follow certain principles. And it was just completely different than anything I'd ever been told before. And I believed him. And basically he said, look, give me 5 years, do the things I tell you to do, and I'll teach you this business. He didn't promise me I was going to be someplace in 5 years. He didn't say, I'm going to do it for you. Didn't over exaggerate anything, and just said that he would teach it to me. And I thought, you know what? A millionaire is going to teach me. I'm going to listen to him. And I remember when I said, yeah, he goes, now, son, I'm not talking about 4 years and 10 months, or something like that. He's like, give me 5 years, and we'll see where you're at type thing. And so, fortunately, I, whatever reason, said yes. I started working with him at 19. And actually, before I was 20, I was making six figures. By the time I was 22, I had made my first $1 million, and the rest has been history. I love this industry. Who would have ever thought we would have this amazing thing called the internet that would come out and connect the entire world? Who would have thought that we would have smartphones and we would have voice over communications, where you can be staring at somebody from the other side of the world. And the network marketing industry, because of this, because of computers, because of technology, because of seamless integration, the back office systems, integration in banking and credit cards and all this, it's made available to us an industry that literally someone who, say, lives in Peru or Mexico or Vietnam or Cambodia, on the jungle, they can, because everybody's got smartphones now, they can build a business literally around the world, globally, and can build into countries that they're not even allowed to go to. So I've watched this industry. I've been fortunate to be part of it for a really long time, and this industry has just gotten bigger and bigger. Back in the early 90s, it was about a $60 billion industry. The industry now is over $250 billion. Really, it's hard to kind of gauge how big it is. It's growing so fast. I'm not a mathematician, but you can see, and from the 90s to about 5 years ago, it was a $180 billion industry. 5 years later, it's $250 billion. It's accelerating. It's moving faster and faster, and it's going to continue at this pace probably for the next 100 years. There's never been a better time to be part of this industry. My opinion, every person in the world, if they're smart, is involved in the network marketing industry. I'm not saying everybody has to be a professional. I'm not saying everybody should quit their job or drop out of school or anything like that. This should be your plan B. This should be something that you have going on the side for the what if, or how do you make more money? How easy is it to get a raise at work? Okay, maybe what kind of raise can you get? $1 an hour, $2, $3? Can you walk in and ask your boss for a $50 an hour raise? If you're making $30,000 a year, how easy is it to get to 60? If you're making 60, how easy is it to get to 100? There's just not a lot of options out there if you're just working. And what network marketing is doing, it's creating a realistic way for the average person to be able to get a second paycheck or a third paycheck without having to get a second or third job. And for a few people that really want to put their head down, spend a lot of years doing this, work really hard, this is a way for them to maybe have a whole new profession, or maybe have a business that equals or even is higher than their jobs. And yes, there are people that make a lot of money at this. There are people that make over $1 million on a monthly basis. Friends of mine make over $1 million a month in this industry, but those are very few and far between. What we focused on over here with WG, and why we're here, is this is a business that is really more focused on helping that average person make $500 extra a month, $1,000 a month. Look at where we are right now in the holidays. What would an extra $1,000 do this month? For some people, not that much, but for probably 95% of the world, an extra $1,000 this month, or even $500 this month, would have made a world of difference. That's what this business is about. And I'll turn it back over to you, Chris, here in just a second. But, we've kind of, our path has taken us here. My path in the industry has taken us to Wealth Generator because for the first time, I found a business that's run by people that have the right vision, that are running the business in a way that I see it as ethical. They're doing this for the right reasons. They're doing this for a long-term business, and this is truly something that anyone can find success with, even those that don't even want to build the business. Just the nature of the products and what they have, and there's so many things that they're constantly developing and rolling out. This is something that anybody can get involved with in any country, in the entire world, and in a realistic amount of time, with a realistic amount of work, be able to go out there and have meaningful success, have money that's being generated that's life-changing. So with that, Chris, turn it over to you.
Awesome, Bryan. And, it's so powerful, like what you talk about with the industry, and I think that it's good to be reminded of that, and we do that a lot on these calls because, we are part of the not normal group out there, the entrepreneurs, the people out there driving a business, doing something different than the norm. And one of the things that I just wanted to hit on was that we have something, and we're going to teach you these correct, consistent, and long enough here in this call, but one of the things I really got from the last event I was at was embrace that it's a little difficult for people. You're out there educating them, but, not everybody's going to do this with you, and that's okay. And, they said that's why they pay us so much money, because if network marketing was that easy, then they would just put a Super Bowl commercial up and everybody would join and they wouldn't pay anybody as much money as they pay us, because you got to be out there sharing the product and working and building this business. And that's why the principles are very simple, and that's why, it's exciting to be on the call with so many people that are stepping out of the norm and taking an entrepreneurial step and realizing what you're talking about, Bryan, is this is the way. Like, if you really, how else to get a part-time income? How else are you going to get that raise? It's not happening, and what would an extra $1,000 do for you over Christmas? So just really, really great. Excited for this call and for the people taking the time out. Let's dive into this, Bryan. Correctly, consistently, long enough. I don't know if you want to embody them all together, if you just want to hit on each one, or what has this meant for you and these principles. And, I love long enough because I feel like that's probably one of my biggest staying points is I'm just hard-headed. And I was like, I've seen people succeed at this. I'm going to do this. I've seen people making more money than any nurse or any doctor and having way more fun. But, let's just dive in. Correctly, consistently, long enough.
All right. I'm laughing here because I have the hiccups, and so I'm sure I'm going to be hiccupping up at some point, but it's always been like my worst nightmare to have. Luckily, it hasn't happened, be on stage and start to get the hiccups. But anyway, look, I built a business based on principles. Why? Because principles are something that you can duplicate. I remember my mentor said, Bryan, in this business, don't hype and don't lie. And I won't go through the whole thing. And I said, well, and besides the obvious reasons, why not? He goes, look, if you lie, people are going to start to, when they find out you lie, they're going to either have to quit or they're going to have to lower their morals and perpetuate the lie with you. And if you hype, then you got to keep hyping. If that's the principle to build the business is hype, well, then everyone has to hype. You got hype into the business. Well, what's the next guy going to do? He's got to hype the next guy in the business because that's what he was taught. He says, look, you got to build this business based on principles. And even though he never came out and said these things, the golden rules, it's something that I came up with so many years ago. And I would say it's my overlying philosophy, my overlying formula to build the business. It's, if I could say, if there's nothing else you learn from me, learn this. And it's like a mathematical formula. It works every single time. No matter what, it will always work. Works like this. You do the business correctly. That means you need to know the correct actions. And that's the first thing. So what are the correct actions? Well, go back and listen to the calls we've been doing. We've been teaching you the correct actions. So first you got to know that. It's like having the ingredients to chocolate chip cookies. If you don't have the ingredients right, it's never going to turn out to be chocolate chip cookies, no matter how bad you want it to be. Plus, so second is consistent. You got to be able to do this business consistently. And What that means is you don't want to have a lottery mentality. It means that you need to be disciplined and a lot of other things. I actually think the hardest part of this is probably being consistent, because in life, most people are just not consistent. And what will happen if you're not consistent, you'll never get that buildup. I kind of imagine a lot of cliches, but it's like this wave, way out, before the wave gets to the shore, you can barely even notice it's a wave. It's just this little kind of hump that's traveling across the water, and as it gets closer to the shore, it gets bigger and bigger. It's like all of a sudden, this wave that's been going has all this force and all this momentum, and it's right at the end. That's when all of a sudden this wave goes straight up and becomes the wave that we see. But that thing's been traveling a long ways in order to get there. You just don't notice. That's how this business is. It's like you work, and you might spend 14 months and say, gosh, I only got 27 people in my business, been 14 months, and I had 70, and they've all 50 of them have dropped out, and it's like, yeah, but what you don't realize is that 4 months later you can have 100, 200, 300. 4 months after that you can have 2,000 or 3,000. So it's like you did all this work, and in just a couple months you've all of a sudden reached your goal. Well, no, that's what people would think. Oh man, this person's got to this place in like 2 or 3 months. They've got there. No, it's that 1, 2, 3, or 4 years of work before then that pushes you there. So it's being consistent, which is difficult. And finally, long enough. And long enough is about mindset. If you haven't made the choice to do the business, if you haven't made the choice that I'm going to do this until, not I'm going to do this if, I'm going to do this until. That's what a professional network marketer does. And what I'll do, Chris, if you want, I'll just kind of break each one of these things down. So it's the correct actions plus consistent work plus doing it long enough equals your why. And once you're right, I can listen to our first call, and that equals your why. It's wherever you want to be, and however big your why is, and however far you want to take this, is how well you do that. Now, how consistent, correct you do this, how consistent you are, and how much of that mindset and work you're willing to put in is how far you want to take it. So here I am now, 20 plus years into the business, and I'm still working. And I say, oh man, I thought I was going to do this for a few months and then somehow retire. No, but guess what? I've had an incredible income, an incredible lifestyle for so many years. Forget what people have told you about building this business and for a couple months or years and going sitting on a beach and retiring. That doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's never happened for anybody, but this is a lifestyle income. This is an income that, hey, if I want to take the next 2 weeks off, I take the next 2 weeks off. If I want to sleep all day tomorrow, I sleep all day tomorrow. Who has that type of flexibility in a traditional job or even a traditional business? I have friends that have traditional businesses that make more money than I do or about the same as I do. But guess what? They're probably going to have hundreds of thousands or even millions or even tens of millions of dollars in overhead and the stress and the liabilities and just to make what we make as professional network marketers. A person that owns a McDonald's who's going to spend, I forget how many millions of dollars before they serve their first burger, they're not even going to turn a profit for like 7 years. They don't have a fraction of the earning potential of a top professional network marketer. I mean, not even a fraction, not even probably 5% of what these top network marketers do, and with all the liabilities and types. So it's just a better way to do it. So breaking down each one of these things, and Chris, if you want, as I'm going through, stop me and interrupt me if you want. I'll just hit each one and then jump in and we'll talk about each one. So first, doing the business correctly. Okay, go back, listen to the 10 steps. Really, it's one giant step. We break it up into 10 steps because it's a lot to talk about. It's easier for people to digest. You can go online. You can see our 10 steps. You can listen to this. But you got to know the ingredients. You have to be able to do it right. A lot of people aren't teachable. They'll look at this and they'll say, there's people right now on this call that I've taught, or people that are out there and they're saying, well, it's not working for me. And I'll say, okay, great. Did you listen to the 10 steps? Yeah. Are you doing this stuff? Well, yeah. Okay, so you have your whys written down. You're reading them every day. Well, no. Okay, well then that's why it's not working. Well, I mean, that's stupid. Like your why, well, what does that have to do with it? I mean, I need to know how to recruit people. I need to know how to, I can read. I know why I want to do this business. It's like, you see what I'm saying? It's like people that are not experts, somehow they're now experts. It's not working for them, even though they're not doing the things you tell them to do. And therein lies a lot of the problem why people won't do this business correctly. They'll do the things that they feel are important. They'll do the things that are convenient for them. They'll do the things that are easy for them. They'll do the things that they don't have to get out of their comfort zone. People from the jump just simply won't do the business correctly. And for whatever reason, it's just the nature of it. They feel they know better. They're not teachable. They feel they have a better way. They feel like these things can't possibly be that important, and they just won't do it correctly. Look, humble yourself and do the business correctly. Now, people, once they kind of figure out that, now comes the most difficult part. Well, let me pause there. Anything you want to say on that, Chris, the correctly guide before I jump into?
Yeah, no, I love that you're on a roll, Brian. I would just say that what I like that you're doing here and to emphasize with our team who is plugging in and doing things correctly right now is you're going to have people that join your team that aren't going to see the importance right away. They're brand new and they're not going to see. They're going to say, this is dumb. This is so simple. Why would I have to do this? It's what Brian's explaining here is the importance to just get them to do it. Like, help them understand, like, this is an important thing. And I love that you're going through that, Brian, because you can hear that enthusiasm in your voice because so many people are like, yeah, I'll do it, or I did that, or I already know it, it's in my head. And it's like, no, like, this is so important because this is the process of doing it correctly. I can hear that in your voice, and I hope that's what everybody's getting on the call. So,
yeah,
go ahead, run. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, all right, I got to read my whys every day. I read them yesterday. Why would I do that? You don't know why. Look, until you're there or you figured out a better way, just do it. Like, I mean, that it's mind-blowing. But, okay, going to the consistent part. This is difficult. Look, it is hard to be consistent at anything in life. Who here has ever picked up basketball and decided that they wanted to play? Are you in the NBA? Who here has ever picked up a musical instrument and how far did you take it? I mean, who here has ever, started working out or going to the gym or, I mean, anything you've done in life that you're not an expert at or you, thought one day you were going to be, but you haven't. It's just hard to be consistent because there's so many things to do. There's real life comes at you. There's always an excuse to not do something. You get overwhelmed, you get tired, you don't want to do it. American Idol came on, and you got to see who won. I guess maybe the show's not even on anymore, but that was my old go-to. But, that was the old joke. Well, I can't go to the meeting American Idol's on. I got to watch it live. I mean, look, there's always an excuse and a reason to not be consistent. But at the end of the day, most people got a lottery mentality. I mean, it sucks to say, but that's the world we live in. It means that, look, they're willing to do something, right? I mean, they're willing to go buy the lottery ticket, they're willing to scratch a thing off, or they're even willing to stay up that night and see if they win. But they're not willing to do much more than that. It's like they're willing to work correctly. They're even willing to be consistent as long as they know that very soon they're going to, get the result, or if it doesn't interfere with anything they really want to do. And that's the other thing is in life, we always get what we want, always, because our actions will take us there. I remember, there's 100 of these examples. One that just always has stuck out in my mind. There's a guy signed up in the business, and this is back in the 90s. And we used to have a training every Saturday. We'd get together, we had a training. And that was part of my regimen. We don't do that right now, but that was part of my regimen back then because of the way we had to work that business and what we were all doing. And, whenever, we got involved, I basically said, hey, you know what? You need to be there every single Saturday if possible, if you're off. But if not, at least like 2 Saturdays a month, something like that. And, this person's response was, they're all excited. We talked about how they want to, change their life and their kids in the future. And they, been working for 30 years and getting to their 50s and, they can't retire and all this. And they said, oh, well, Saturday, that's my only day off. That's the day I hang out, I watch sports, barbecue, hang out with the family, and drink beer. I mean, no, that's just hey, that's my day off. I'm not going to commit, every Saturday to go on this. And in fact, most Saturdays I'm probably not going to go. And that was their decision. And guess what? There's nothing I could do about it. It was a lottery mentality. You know what? There's going to be a sacrifice in order for you to have success. Of course, we'd all love to just stick with our routine, but what is your daily routine getting you? What has your routine that you've been doing gotten you? Definition of insanity, they say, is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You are where you are based on the actions that you've done. It's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to take changing on your part, getting out of your comfort zone. Don't have that lottery mentality. It's like everybody has tried to do something in life and have felt like, I want the result, but I'm not willing to put the action. Everybody wants to look great, but they're not willing to go to the gym and put the time and work. They're not willing to change their diet. They're not willing to do those things. You have to make that decision is how bad do you want it? And that's part of why you read your whys every day, because you got to start to believe that, gosh, I really can achieve this. I really can get my why. And what's more important to you is, is your why more important, or is doing whatever it is you want to do for yourself? So there has to be that consistent effort. You want to jump in there, and then I'll get to long enough?
Yeah, that was great. As you're talking here, and you're talking about consistency, it was a struggle I had. We get in these routines, and then all of a sudden you're trying to start doing different things in your life. So it does take some planning. And as you were talking, I was thinking about, make a consistent effort to plan your week. Use your calendar, schedule things out, and talk to your family, talk to your whoever, and say, look, I want you to keep me accountable. This is so we can change our lives. Read them your whys and do all that stuff, and plug into the Facebook page. It's going to keep you on track. And also with your new teammates, make sure that you're communicating with them when things are going on, helping them get consistent. And then after, Brian, a couple weeks, couple months, all of a sudden it's a routine. All of a sudden, if I miss a meeting or a call, I feel like I've really missed something in my week because it's so ingrained now through consistency. But let's talk about long enough.
Sure. One of the things that we are going to go a couple of minutes longer on this call, everybody, but, one of the things is showing up. And it's one of the things, Chris, you did really well was showing up. I've seen a lot of people be successful in network marketing because even though they didn't have a lot of success right away, they happened to just, for whatever reason, they gravitated and they latched on to the showing up and being consistent with showing up. And eventually their batteries got charged enough up, it clicked for them, and they stuck with the business. How many people have, I tell them, hey, you got to, show up to weekly meetings or show up to the calls or different things, and they won't do it. Oh, well, I already know everything. Oh, I've already seen the presentation. Well, I don't have a guest, so I'm not going to show up. Well, you know what? I don't feel like getting on the call. They said the same stuff, and I don't want to hear it. Whatever. Look, you got to be consistent with that type of stuff. I mean, we're all batteries, and our batteries become uncharged. Showing up and being consistent with the business, thinking about the business, dreaming about the business, that is what's going to get you there. It recharges your battery. It puts you in that mindset to ultimately get you there. There's so many more things about it for another call, but long enough is your mindset. And I can prove to every one of y'all that succeeding or failing in this business really comes down to long enough. It comes down to your mindset. It's the great mystery. Those correct actions done on a consistent basis eventually will have you find success. There are a lot of other factors, the company you're in, the timing you're in, who your organization is, your upline. I mean, there's all kinds of other factors. But in the end, no matter what you do, correct actions done consistently for a long enough period of time will get you there. The problem, we don't know how long. You don't know if you're going to reach a six-figure income in 6 months or if it's going to take you 16 years. And I'm sorry to tell you that. I'm sorry to say that, but that is the reality of it. What I tell people is this should be a 3 to 5 year business to get you to a six-figure income. I believe pretty much anyone can do it in that time, if they're with the same company and they go that route. But long enough, here's how I can prove it's mindset. When are people most excited? whenever they first join. The day you sign up, people are the most excited. And I always kind of look at people, they're so excited. They feel like, man, I can conquer anything. The future's so bright. And I'm thinking, I've never seen somebody so excited that has nobody in their team and has no chance of making any money. And that's the truth, right? When you start off, you have nothing, no one. You're at the bottom. You can't get any worse than the day you start. But yet that's when people are most excited. And then what happens is, over time, people start to think, gosh, I should be further along than I am. Well, what's taking me so long? Man, at this rate, it's going to take me forever to get there. And then all of a sudden you start having doubts. Man, I've already been doing this for 10 months and I'm not making hardly anything. And I mean, I got some people in the business and it's growing a little bit, but, it's going to take me, I'm trying to get to the million volume rank. That's 10,000 in my organization. I mean, at this rate, it's going to take me 200 years to get there. And that is because people don't understand how this business builds. They don't understand geometric progression. Even Einstein, who seemed like a pretty smart guy, said that the most amazing things humans have ever invented, I'm sure I'm misquoting him, is compounding interest. That's geometric progression. Einstein said that, and I attest to that watching how this business works. If people only understood this, but our minds are not that equipped to understand it. That's why Einstein said it's so incredible. It's compounding interest. People think that the business builds 1 + 1 + 1, but it doesn't. What's happening is you're building that wave. You're building this thing, and all of a sudden it's going to explode. And I've told this story before. There's a lady that is in another network marketing company, and I don't know how many years she was in the industry, probably in the industry for, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, got involved in this one business, latched onto it, call me every single year, sometimes a couple of times a year. I'd always say no, but I'd always, hey, how you doing? I give her advice, little mentorship and everything. And one time she calls me and she's like, Bryan, I've finally done it. I'm making a 6-figure income. And I was like, oh my gosh, congratulations. I said, well, tell me the timeline. What happened? And it was, I'm sure I'm forgetting exactly the time, but it was like 4 years and 6 months, basically making nothing, making just a little bit of money, but correct actions, doing the business consistently. And then within 6 months, shot up from almost nothing to a 6-figure income. So a lot of people are going to look at this and say, man, she went from making nothing to 6 figures in 6 months. No, she didn't. She was over 20-something years of doing the business. And in that business, 4.5 years of building up. And it was that last 6 months when you got to see the culmination of all that work. So when you look at mindset and doing this business long enough as a mindset, you're most excited when you first start. But what happens is people become discouraged somewhere along the way. And most of the time when people quit the business, and I would say, and I'm not talking about people who join and you never hear from them again, so they never do anything. I'm talking about people that put some sort of an effort who work. Nearly all of them, probably 100% of them, let's call it, are further along than when they started. So they got at least one person in their team. Some people are actually making money when they quit. Some people have hundreds or thousands of people in their business when they quit, but maybe it's not structured quite right, so they're not really there. But yet they quit. But it's like, well, hold on a second. And it's what I ask people. Okay, and I ask you, everybody y'all ask yourselves, we're coming to the beginning of the year, and I do this for myself every single year. When I start off the year, I stop, and I try to trick my mind, and I say, okay, if today was the first day of my business, I signed up day one, and I have the organization that I have, the knowledge I have, whatever. I'm at the place my business is right now. How excited will I be for the future? Where do I think I can feel like I can be in that 3 to 5 years? And if you can really do that, you should get really excited, because those people that are quitting, they're further along than where they were when they first started. But yet, that's when they were most excited. So it's all about mindset. Whenever you're going to have that inkling that you want to quit, or you see someone in your team you're going to quit, ask them, hey, hold on a second. If today was the first day that you had just got signed up, remember how excited you were. What if I said, I'm starting you off with this team right here. I'm starting you off with these 5 people in your group right here, these 10 people, this whatever. How excited would you be? Well, I'd probably be incredibly excited. Well, what's the difference? Well, I've just been doing it for so long and I just don't feel like I'm going to get there. No, it's your mindset is what's wrong. You don't understand geometric progression. It takes time for it to build up. It's natural. It's like that for everybody. It's like that for me. It's like that for any professional networker. The difference is we have the mindset that we're not making a decision from month to month if we're going to keep doing the business. Every month when the auto ship comes up, we're not saying, am I going to pay again or am I going to quit? Well, let me see where my business is. That's the difference. If you're having to continue to make a decision on whether or not you're going to keep doing this business, just get out now because you're not going to get there. You have to say, no, I'm going to get there. And that's where the faith of this formula comes in. The golden rules. It's a fact that works every single time. You can count on it. If you're doing the correct actions, you're doing them on a consistent basis, and you do it for a long enough period of time, you eventually will get there. And then it's just a matter of going through the process until you get there. And the great thing about what we got with this company we're in, well, you know what? Guess what? This works for any company. It doesn't just have to be ours. If you do that, you'll eventually get there if you follow that formula.
That's awesome, Bryan. And, as you're saying that, that's actually something you could use with most things in life. I mean, right there. And I just, as you're talking, this quote I read from Babe Ruth the other day was, you just can't beat the person who never gives up. And I think that's so true. If you're just willing to go at it with everything you got consistently, do the correct actions. And as we're closing out here, I just think, as you're listening to this call and you guys aren't doing the correct actions, if you're on this call, go back. If you haven't done all the 10 steps, this is the 10th call, go back and through them and redo them, or redo them or whatever. And then start to work out a consistent plan for the new year, consistency, planning out your week. And then decide, like Bryan just talked about, decide that you're just going to do this until you get that why, until it works. And we're going to keep doing these calls every week and keep helping everybody along through the new year. Thank you, Bryan. Everybody, thanks for jumping on this call. I know we went a little bit longer, so I appreciate you correctly, consistently long enough. This closes out our 10 steps. So very excited for the new year coming and look forward to everyone getting to the top.